At a personal level, it isn't so much that few things one could accept to take credit for, but many more things seem to happen by luck. But I'm not asking anybody to pursue luck. Sometimes luck also pursues people who are doing things that, and then they are lucky. But given my background, with so much I have gone through at a personal level from the time I was young, maybe from 20 years of age, some of the things shape you. They shape your thinking. But there is a saying which was not coined by me, but by many other people, of saying to walk the talk. What is walking the talk? Walking the talk, I think people are saying, do or practice what you say. So people have to make a choice. We get to hear from people, we learn, we read books, we do all kinds of things. There's a lot of learning through that. In you as a person, you may decide, you make a choice. What person do you want to be? What society do you want to be part of? And you make a choice how you play part in that. You must play part in what you become. You must play part in what the environment around you becomes. Even if you make a small contribution, that will be fine. But you must shape something about you, about your environment. So these are the choices you make, I guess, at every level. Every person makes that choice. Or you fail to make that choice, and of course with the consequences. Things happen to you personally when you've made the wrong choice, or when you have made no choice at all, and just sit back and wait for things to impact you. So the question, therefore, the complex of the question she was asking is both, I think, put it at a personal level, but also at a societal level. And so once you've made that choice personally, and that can apply to anyone and everyone here, then how do you interact with the environment to the point that you learn from what impacts you, but you also learn to impact your environment. So there is an interaction. And so the discipline I was talking about, therefore, originates from that kind of thinking, being conscious of your choices and what you want to be, and also the choice of the society that you want to become part of. So that has to do with discipline. There is that discipline of mind of going through this process of making the choices, how you are impacted, what you want to be, but also, and that's how it leads to what the Deputy President repeated so many times, and it is actually very important. It's how do you step forward and not wait for, that's how people wait for handouts. If you wait for a handout, then that's, in the end, that's what you become. But if you step out and go and do things and ask ask and insist, and so if you go into politics, like they're saying, from 18 to 25, you are through a process of making a choice, personal, but also beyond you. It's the environment where you are, and that's how people become MPs, members of parliament. And I'm singling this out to say, again, to answer the question of experience. Experience means a broad range of things. Experience in what? Experience is not just a question of time or age. It's also what you are doing in that time. For example, I'm older than the deputy president, I think by far. But you may find he would do a better job, or he knows a lot more about interacting with, say, society, because he became an MP, a member of parliament. A member of parliament deals with the people on a daily basis. For so many reasons, you get to understand what their needs are, then later on you want to go back for their votes, and that explains, therefore, what has been happening between you and them. That is a rich experience you get over time in that particular job that I may not have even when I'm older, because I've never become a member of parliament myself. I was brought up completely in a different environment, which, even though it put me close to people, ordinary people to work with, it wasn't to that extent a member of parliament does. So for me, the environment was completely different. So you might assume, therefore, that because I'm older, I have more experience, but that's not necessarily true. I may have more experience in a different dimension, but in dealing with these people and understanding their needs and daily, sharing everything on a daily basis as members of parliament do, I don't have that experience. Somebody younger, much younger than me, may have experience. So let people not get confused with this issue of experience. Experience comes with the time, but with what you are doing. Yes, so young people can be seen to have experience, even with, let's say, in our cabinet. And experience background shouldn't be a hindrance. For me, I was thrust into government. I didn't know anything about government. And it was like being thrown in a swimming pool when you don't know how to swim, and you've got, to learn very fast so that you save your life. So that's the kind of thing. But that is showing you that experience should not be an impediment. It shouldn't be. The impediment comes when you have not been having this process of thinking and making choices about who you want to become, about what you want others to be with you. All right? So, and again, a question of happiness is also a choice. Happiness comes from the wish to be happy, but also the understanding of your own situation. And if you are working towards a good situation that affects you and driven by the incentive of being happy, then you become happy. And it doesn't mean that you only become happy when you don't have problems. No. You can actually be happy when you have problems. Only that it depends on how you understand your problems and you are able to put them where they belong as you work on solutions. And in between, being happy is the energy that actually bridges this gap between problems and solutions. So you make the choice. Yeah.
Youth Connekt, unauliza. You can be happy even if you have problems, right? I'm glad that you personalized it, because I was going to follow up and say, I'm sure even when you entered politics, when you became a leader, you didn't have experience. And I think what we need to highlight is that we're in a generation where there's not that much room also to make mistakes. Everything we do is recorded. I'm sure if we went back to your life 30, 40 years ago, there's so much that's just lost and gone because there was no one with a camera watching every move and recording everything. So when we talk of the need for experience, it's also because we are afraid to make mistakes, because we'll be reminded of them tomorrow, the next day, and the internet these days never forgets. But we can come to our next question, and while you're still on the microphone, Your Excellency, about how to have investment in Rwanda, right? I think that was really what she was asking. It was quite a bit, but reinvesting in Rwanda, but also how do we encourage investment into this country?
Encouraging investments.
Yeah.
Any country, anybody can work on encouraging investments.
Sorry, to localize especially the investment, particularly.
Okay,
yes.
To localize the investment.
Yes, within Rwanda. Yeah.
Okay. For example, the young people we have around. In fact, we have created systems like at from the village level upwards to the district to the provinces. We have identified what is possible around in our country. We have identified the young people with the different backgrounds and have always carried the message of encouraging them to come forward to try and do things in the way of entrepreneurship. But alongside that, we have created a fund that is also decentralized to those levels and tied with business. In fact, the private sector, which I'm sure is represented here or present here, accompanies those structures. There's something called a Business Development Fund, which we created. It is to target the private people, the young people who have ideas, who want to develop those ideas. But if what they are lacking is money, there is a bit of money that through those structures that can be provided. At the same time, the private sector accompanies them because maybe somebody has a business idea up to a point. So in the system, there are people who accompany these new entrants into business or who have business ideas to develop them beyond maybe what they thought they should be able to reach. So that is how, therefore, one, business development takes place. Secondly, the investments, the map, the whole map is clear to everyone. And not only do we encourage the local people to make those investments, it is later on what forms the foundation that attracts the foreign investments.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're going to have